just first of all, reaction to the performance today.
Well, I'm pretty pleased with what we got from the game. You always want to win games of football. We just started both halves in a poor fashion in terms of the goals we gave away. The rest of the game was pretty even. If anything, we were on top. Just didn't quite get the lucky break or the bit of quality finishing around their box. But it's all about what you get from these games at this time stage of the season. And they're probably 3 weeks ahead of us in terms of how much training they've done. So I'm absolutely delighted to come through it. Hopefully unscathed in terms of the physical aspect, but also what the players got in terms of their legs.
In terms of the timings of the goal, you mentioned they're both at the start of the first and the second half. Is that something that perhaps can happen in pre-season, or
it can probably happen when you've been sat on the M5 for a few hours. The journey certainly took everyone longer than expected, but that's an excuse. When you go on that field of play, people don't want to hear excuses. So we just got to start the game better. They were a little bit brighter for the first 5 minutes, but once we got a foothold in the game, we moved the ball well without really making their keeper make too many saves. And it was a similar story second half. Unfortunately, games like that always become disjointed on the amount of changes that are made, but we were pleased with the amount of minutes the lads got.
Yeah, because before you made the changes at about the 60-minute mark, when you look at that performance, it was one shot on target from Bristol Rovers, but we had plenty of chances. Ryan Bowman's had quite a few shots on goal. It certainly was at Exeter City on top in that.
Yeah, but then how many saves does the keeper have to make? So it's early days. It's early days, but I'm pleased with the principles of play today. I'm pleased with the fitness aspect. We've worked really hard this week, and I'd say Bristol Rovers are 3 weeks ahead of us in terms of how much work they've done so far, and they've had a game already. So what we've got out of it was really important. Like I say, we've got to see how the bodies are going into Monday, Tuesday. We'll have a practice match on Tuesday. Then we've got another fixture on Friday. They won't get too much more intense and too much more professional than what it was today, because it's a proper place to come. Always a fantastic pitch, a good stadium and a good place to play football. So really pleased for our first game.
And plenty of minutes in the legs as well, even though the last half hour you had to have a little bit of a practice match without the referees, didn't you?
Yeah, it was certainly strange. Look, both managers and both teams had organised four quarters of 35 minutes, and then the referee just before the game starts said he can only do 2 45 minutes. So I certainly should be talking about referees this early on. I'm sure we'll have plenty of time this season, but it's the way it is. And look, it was important we got that extra 30-35 minutes in at the end, because we've got some good young pros and they need minutes. You saw at the end we were all desperate for Sonny to score, and hitting the crossbar and Czech playing well at the end. So we had a really young team towards the end of the game, and like I say, we can become disjointed, but it was still there's enough intensity out there to make it worthwhile.
You also gave 2 debuts as well to Caprice and McArdle. How do you think they got on today?
Did okay. Jake's got hopefully what is a bit of a dead leg and not such a thigh strain. We'll have to monitor that, but he showed his attacking intent. He showed his responsibility in terms of the defensive aspect. He's a different profile to what we had at fullback, and you could see down the right side we were quite dynamic. We want that from both our fullbacks, and I'm sure once Jack gets it in his legs he'll be able to produce that as well. So the last bit to come is always the end bit, which is the finishing and the real quality in the final third. But in terms of our basic principles and the fundamentals of any game, we were okay today.
And you say the next game, in-house game, you've got a practice game on Tuesday and then an in-house game against Taunton on Friday.
Practice game on Tuesday, we can just manage the minutes. So that group today played between 50 and 60 minutes. So we'll probably play 2 35s on Tuesday, so everyone's got 70 minutes in their legs. And then we'll get closer to sort of, with a 90-minute mark on Friday. Not all the way, but closer to it in terms of that Friday evening game. And unfortunately, it's the way it is at the moment. Obviously, the Swansea game cancelled is probably a good thing now when we've seen the traffic today. People look at us and think why we don't go too far afield in pre-season, because it's a nightmare, because everyone's coming down the southwest for a holiday.
In this weather as well.
In this weather, which is certainly strange, but that's the way it is. We don't want to travel too far. That's why any games at the training ground are so important, because it makes it a safe environment for the players, cuts out any extra responsibilities which they have to have when they come away. But also you can manage what the outcome is.